Chapter 66 Life on the Farm, Work in the Fields, and a return visit from the two Smiths' friends from the past. Life on the farm high up in Gudbrandsdalen, in the heart of Norway's mountain country, was both meaningful and fruitful. Little Eva was only 1 year old. The proud parents, Emily and Johannes, planned to raise yet another true-born farm enthusiast, one who would absorb the farming life with their mother's milk. But like a modern couple in a big city, both Emily and Johannes had to work every day, with long work days in the cowshed, in the fields, in the forest, and in the office. A farm is a large enterprise kept alive with minimal labor. They could certainly have used a couple of extra workers on the farm, but they were fortunate to have found Gunhild, the babysitter who had become part of the family. Emily, who before meeting Johannes had been a sect member of the Christian cult Smiths Venner, had now found her place on earth. She was happy, not least because she had escaped any further connection with that congregation. Gradually she had realized that there were invisible threads in that environment, threads that seemed to come from above. From a master manipulator sitting in the clouds and controlling the members according to his own will. Emily had rebelled against this master, and it was eventually discovered. She had visited an online dating site and gradually became acquainted with Johannes. They immediately hit it off. He, a farmer from Gudbrandsdalen, and she, an office worker from Sandefjord. She had always wanted a life in the countryside, preferably on a farm with livestock. When they decided to meet in Oslo, she came closer to her dream than she realized. Dear readers, read more about what happened there in Chapter 5 of this book. Now they were both out in the fields, each on their own tractor, enjoying the fine day with a light drizzle in the air. Emily sat thinking back to her time in Sandefjord. She had had a sheltered upbringing, sheltered in a double sense, since life in the congregation occupied both her time and her sense of reality. What she was told by the elders remained fixed in her mind as the only viable path, the absolute truth. The Bible formed the basis for all exchanges of opinion, and questioning its teachings was considered inappropriate. Thus, curiosity and questioning were brought to a halt. There could be a devil woven into such wonderings. It was best to follow the accepted doctrine and conform. Emily felt there was something fundamentally wrong with allowing oneself to be shaped by established truths without the opportunity to think independently. Johannes was not afraid of authority. Emily had overheard a discussion with the parish priest in the village, a pleasant elderly man, but with an almost orthodox approach to Christianity. He had visited one Sunday afternoon after the church service on the day little Eva was baptized. Both Emily and Johannes had allowed it to happen even though they were both agnostics. Nevertheless, they viewed church traditions positively from a cultural perspective. Emily had changed her religious outlook after many deep conversations with Johannes. For his part, he did not want her to be guided by what he told her, but rather to take it with her and examine the truth of his claims. Examine what I say, he told her. Carry out a thorough fact check. Emily witnessed Johannes's lack of respect for authority when the parish priest came to visit that Sunday afternoon. The priest had been served sour cream porridge with strawberries and cream for dessert. Over coffee in the living room by the fireplace, the two men began discussing the big questions. The priest preached eagerly from his doctrines, almost chanting monotonously, seemingly deaf to Johannes's objections. But Johannes would not be marinated in high church word salad. He raised his voice and asked the priest a couple of sharp questions. Silence followed. Eventually they were answered with a non-answer. God's ways are inscrutable. End of discussion. There was no point in arguing or presenting naturalistic ideas or Socratic questions. At that very moment, they heard a car outside in the farmyard. It was the same two members of Smith's Venner who had visited 2 weeks earlier. Now a new ideological duel unfolded in the living room, but Johannes was ready for the fight. Johannes had a special ability to persuade. He knew that farm life, showing the farm and all the animals, made a strong impression on people. He readily took both the parish priest and the two Smiths members on a tour around the farm. Emily and Gunhild, with little Eva in her arms, followed along. They wanted to witness this historic event. It did not take long after the tour, accompanied by a fiery monologue from Johannes. Before the guests returned to their cars as newly converted naturalists. "Thanks for the visit," Johannes smiled. "Safe journey home."